in-house counsel and healthcare face a variety of challenges, predominantly focused on the fact that healthcare is an ever-changing environment. You have deep regulatory issues, and then you have a lot of nuances to the business that the in-house advisor is expected to master when they advise their clients. As a result of this, the in-house advisor faces the challenge of adapting to all of the new terrain that is out there in the healthcare market while still trying to find the time to take on their normal duties and responsibilities. Credibility within the leadership is key, and the best way to accomplish that is to be able to advise them on every new development that comes along.
Organizations have a mission, they have typically well-developed strategy and business plans, and what an in-house counsel needs to do is immerse him or herself in that business and understanding the strategy, the operations, the financial demands, and I think by doing so that they really benefit because now they see whatever legal advice they're expected to provide or assistance or support, they can do so really in the context of that business.
We live in a world where data is sort of the new oil, and so healthcare companies are trying to leverage that information in a variety of ways, not only for their primary purpose or whatever business they're in, but now for secondary purposes as well. So the questions inherent in that relate to privacy, security, managing risk around that information from a proprietary and IP context. So I think those kinds of issues are going to be a top of mind for in-house counsel moving forward.
For companies that are facing transformative growth, either through acquisition or through maybe a sale of their own organization, there are additional considerations that an in-house advisor needs to be aware of. And they have to build some strategic alignment with outside partners to make sure that they're equipped to be a solid in-house resource for their leadership team and for the future leadership team coming in. The considerations include making sure that you have very deep expertise on the outside that is capable of handling some of the more nuanced analysis while you're trying to transition the acquisition or the sale in a way that operationalizes the deal in the best way possible. It's a challenge, but having the right partner on the outside makes a big difference, and it allows an in-house advisor to really stretch their resources and deliver that strategic legal guidance that's so critical to leadership at a time of transition.
I think we still see a continued trend for enforcement by the Department of Health and Human Services Office for Civil Rights around HIPAA violations, especially in the data security context. We see data breaches continuing to rise. We see malware infections like ransomware continue to rise. We don't see any abatement of that or reduction in that. So I think that those kinds of issues are going to continue to plague in-house counsel, and enforcement is going to continue to rise in that context. That's also evidenced by the fact that the Federal Trade Commission is getting involved in these kinds of issues more proactively. And we also see state agencies being involved, and states' attorneys generals being involved in these kinds of enforcement actions as well.
What I see as far as a trend in the future is one, an intensification on value-based care, and that will, while it will continue, I think it will actually change in some ways with an even greater emphasis on what we call big data and data-driven decision-making in the delivery of health care, even more participation by providers who really are ultimately the ones that can deliver that value-based care in ways that may finally have an impact on bending the cost curve.
I think that companies, especially in-house counsel, should be focused on figuring out ways to manage risk around the data that they possess, because that data can become new avenues for revenue, as well as development of new products or new partnerships. I think that one of the things that in-house counsel should be focused on moving forward as data becomes more of an asset is to ensure that they're engaged with the right partners in terms of sharing that information, making sure contracts that they have in place with those partners manage the risk associated with that data from a privacy and security standpoint, as well as from a liability perspective as well.
What I recommend as a best practice is to build a trusted relationship with somebody in the health law space that has deep knowledge. Check in with them periodically, make sure that they're briefing you on what they see as the evolution out there and anything that you need to be aware of, and make sure that you're briefing them as well as on the considerations of what's going on in your business so that you're both as informed as possible and you get the best outcome.